Hello everyone, this is me, Colin, again, and this time I'm going to be talking about prison escapes. Well, I mean, there was two of them were not really escapes, it was absconds, but two attempted escapes from real close jails. The first two happened in a place called Stamford Hill on the Isle of Wight in Kent. And I was transferred from Wandsworth Prison on the first occasion in somewhere in the 90s. And what happens through with the closed prison system is that when you're sentenced to a time in prison, you are categorised in a security category. I'll run through them quickly. When you first go on to remand in prison, from the courts, you'll be sent to a local prison and you're sort of automatically what's called a B category prisoner. Now, I'll run through them quickly to let you know. So you've got A category prisoners. They're the people that are prisoners that are deemed a security problem. They're a danger to the public, the police, and so on. So for whom escape must be made impossible. And you have seven high security estates dotted around prison, around the country. Woodhill, Belmarsh, I think Long Larton, Wakefield, and a few of the others. And then you have B category prisons, or mainly the local jails, and other training prisons, and they are classed as jails that for whom escape must be made to be near impossible or very difficult. Category C, which is the most abundant of all the prisons around the country, they're the prisons where most inmates get sent to, and it's labelled as for whom escape for inmates who don't have the will or the resources to make a determined escape. That's how they classify it. And then you have D category, which is people that can be trusted to be allowed to be in open conditions. And that's what happened to me. I was someone who used to break into shops, so they used to deem me as someone who was trusted to go to open conditions. So off I went. But me, I don't like prison, and any opportunity that I can to go, I'm going. So I actually made a little bit of history at the place Stamford Hill. I was there for less than 1 hour. As soon as I got off the bus, the prison bus that took me from Wandsworth Prison to Stamford Hill Prison, I was gone within the hour. So off I went. How did I go? So I went through. How did I go? So I kept going until basically I got to the train tracks. And then those train tracks led me. You get to a station called Swale, and on that Swale is the part where it separates the Isle of Sheppey from the mainland of Britain. So once you cross over to that and you're on the train tracks, you are now gone. And then from there, I made my way back to London, and then I was back on the run again. But I made it back. I made it back home, and I was on the run for about 3 months. So anyway, I got caught, and then I was back in the closed system again. Anyway, a few years later, because in those days, every time you went into prison, you was always given a different prison number. So they never had a record of the last time that you was in prison. Not like today, where if you're given a prison number, you've got it for life now. So they have all your details and all your every file on you. But I went back again the second time from the same prison, Wandsworth, and I was deemed to be suitable for open conditions again. So off I was, and I made it off there. But I think I was there for a couple of days this time. And the problem is, I went with someone, and this idiot that I went with, he was someone that wanted to say. He said that he had somewhere to go when we made it on the run. So we nicked a van, when we got onto the mainland. And when we was driving along, I said, where do you want me to drop you off? He going, oh, can I just drop off, go up to London with you? So off we went, and I couldn't shake this geezer off. He was an idiot. He was an absolute idiot. You know, as we're driving down the motorway, where he wanted to come off one of the intersections to come off, he's trying to pull the steering wheel at 70 miles an hour. What a cock. Anyway, from that moment, I knew I was dealing with an idiot. So when we got to London, we asked, oh, can I stay? No, you can't stay. But he'd be around the corner waiting for me to see if I could help him out with money and things. Anyway, I got rid of him. And I don't know what part he had to do with this, but he knew a place where I was staying, and I think personally he told the police where I was, because eventually, after a couple of weeks, the police came round to this place that I was staying at, and they arrested me and they took me back to the prison. And that was me done again. If I go back a little bit before that, in the YY days, I tried to escape from Felton YY. Now, I was on a wing called Lapwing at the time. It was a remand centre. And I was JR'd. Now, I've explained in the last one what JR'd means. The status you're in is that you have the worst of both worlds of being a prisoner. So the remand prisoners can have everything they want on visits, and food, sweets, munchies, whatever, tobacco, the lot. But when you're convicted, you can't. But the convicted sentence can get shipped off to good jails. So you get the best. So JR is convicted, but you're unsentenced, but you don't get the luxuries of like you would of the remanded prisoners, the remanded custody. Anyway, so I was in that status. So I tried to make an escape. I was in a single cell. The beds could be moved around, and the beds themselves, without the mattress, are a lattice framework of sort of really thin bars, like they stretch from lengthways from one end to the other and widthways. So what you do is, and they're held together with rivets at the side. When you put the bed upside down, you're able to, with the force of your leg kicking them up, you can kick them off. And what I used to do is I used to take them off until I literally had a piece of metal that was in my hand. And what I did was, behind the bed, I took the skirting board away, and I started getting away at the brick, taking the cement away, and I managed to get a brick out. And then I was on the next one, and every night when I've finished, I have to pull it all back together, and then put like a towel over the pipes, and one draped over the bed, so people on the outside of the cell, where the cell doors open, couldn't see into my cell. Anyway, I got told that I was being moved to another wing, so off I was. A little bit later on, about a week or so later, I had screws come to my cell, and they said, "We know it was you to try to get into that cell." Don't know what you're talking about, mate. Yeah, you do, because the person that's in there now, that didn't even have the means to do it. We put him in there. We knew he wasn't a flight risk. Well, nor am I. But anyway, it got dropped because they had no proof of it, right? So that was that one. If we now fast forward to the 90s, the late 90s, when I was in Pentonville Prison, this was when I was on a wing called D Wing at the time. It's now G Wing. But in cell 44, on the third floor, on the Freeze landing, that's what it's called. There's 5 landings. There's the basement, and then which is counted as the ones, and so on, right? So I was on the 3rd landing. On the right hand side, as you go into the wing, upstairs on the middle landing on the Freeze. So cell 44 was just there on the right. Now, in that cell, my mate Clive, and he was banged up with some other bloke who didn't want to really participate in it, but he kept a blind eye. But me and Bernie, we was up on the 5th landing, and Bernie, I'm not going to say his second name, but he went and got hacksaw blades brought in on a visit, and he had 3 hacksaw blue band hacksaw blades snapped in half, so he had 6 halves. And where we used to hide it, Clive used to hide it in the lighting. There's a panel that like 3 screws that you can undo. Take the plate off, take the plastic off, and then you could put the hacksaw blades behind the lighting fixture. And that's what we used to do every night. So, but during the day we would get this bloke called Steve. Steggles. Now there is a reason why I want to say his name, because I won't say yet. But anyway, so we've got these hacksaw blades, and we are taking turns cutting them during the afternoon, during association time. Association is when inmates can go out and mix and play pool, table tennis, and have phone calls and whatever. So it's noisy. So that's when we would start cutting the bars. And these bars were like about this thick, like, you know, hollow. There's none of these roll bars that were inside it. That's absolute shit. You'll sometimes hear that they've got roll bars. They haven't got none at all. They might have in A category prisons, but definitely not in Pentonville. So anyway, we got through, and we was literally probably 3/4 of the way through, right? And then all of a sudden, we'll pack it all away. The next day, me and Bernie were off to education, which is, so we're on the fives now, then we can look opposite downwards to Clive Cell. So we're walking along and we're going off the wing, but when we came back, all of a sudden we just saw screws all over that cell. And we knew something was wrong. Anyway, turns out that the cleaner who was meant to be looking out for us grassed us all up. The screws couldn't prove that me and Bernie was involved because we flat out denied it. But you know, because Clive was in that cell, he got his cellmate out of the blame as well. He took the rap for it. You know, he was put in stripes, which is the E suit, the yellow and green suit. You know, for a few months, and you know, and whatever punishment that was came before that. But this Steggles, what he'd done is he told the cleaning officer is sort of like responsible for the inmate, the wing cleaners and the wing survey workers, the people that serve the food, and them kind of people. And he told him in confidence, thinking that he would get out on bail the following Friday. He didn't get out on bail. He ended up straight back, but this time on the protection wing. What happened is he told this screw what was happening. The screw in turn has told the survey workers. After that, it's common knowledge. So this little bastard lollied us up. And if it weren't for him, we would have got away from that prison, because just outside the wing, the outside of the wing was scaffolding all up from the top to the bottom. And then when you get on, because you're on the 3rd floor, you're adjacent to the visits roof. And when you get onto the visits roof, you just run along, come to the main wall. You can get over, drop down. We know someone that escaped from there before. I won't say his name. But yeah, we would have made it that time if it weren't for him. So I'd take that as an attempt, but that was a definite going to happen. That was definitely going to happen, because the following day, when we saw that he got nicked for that attempted escape, that was the day we was actually going to go. We was going to cut the rest of that little bit of the bar left, and we was going to be gone. Fucking Joe. So yeah, that's what attempted escape's all about. Actually, I won't mention it. No, actually, I won't mention it. I'll maybe do it another time. But there was a couple more occasions in the YOY days. But then again, they were open prison sort of abscond, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, in the next one, I'm going to tell you all about when Pete Doherty was banged up in Pentonville. I was the one that came on the bus with him. I'm the one that was telling him about the regimes in prisons. He was in with a mate of mine, someone Harris, I'm not going to say his first name, and also when he did that interview with the Sun, the person he was saying that the cons are more better to get on with than the script was the one who was told. I was the one that told him that. I was the one when he first came in January, back in the early 2000s, and when he had just got with Kate Moss, and he was in there just for a few days. But I could tell you everything that happened in there and what he wanted me to go and get, and I can tell you what he offered me in return. So I'll tell you about that one next time, alright? So in the meantime, you take care, peace and love to everyone, and I'll see you soon.